actually what we should probably say. So it always starts by using clips, and AI generated, or just AI system. We look at dynamics So I want to mention everything is I need to message you
Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming. While you're finding your seats, I'm going to go through a little bit of AI news. Anybody using GPT 5.6 Soul lately? Show of hands if you've tried 5.6 Soul. It's a little overpowered, right? I find it's really helpful for those multi-turn coding projects, but when you're asking it to, center a div or something, it's a little overpowered. There's been a lot of releases in open source lately. There's a big movement for open source. New research, which makes the Hermes agent harness, says that they believe in open model sovereignty, and they convinced Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, to make his very first tweet on X, the everything app, and he signed this open letter for open source models. He says that open models strengthen safety and cybersecurity, accelerate innovation and diffusion, and enable sovereignty. And so we're seeing a big move towards open models, and we're also seeing a buzz. Has anybody used Buzz before? Show of hands if you know. Am I the only person? Oh my gosh, you're in for a treat. Great, I got one. Awesome. Buzz was created by Jack Dorsey, the founder of Twitter, and it's an open source agent harness platform. You can invoke agents, and I'm going to show you this during my presentation in a little bit. But first, I'm going to tell you what we're doing today. We're going to talk about marketing and comms with AI. That's the theme of today's workshop. If we haven't met, my name's Caelan Huntress. I'm an AI educator and a public speaker, and I'm also a dual citizen here in New Zealand. I've been here for 8 years. I just got my citizenship last year, so I'm one of the newest Zealanders, but I'm originally from Portland, Oregon, which is why I have this funny accent. So forgive me if I talk a little fast. I get really excited about this topic because I like helping people become confident AI operators. And I do this often through my training workshops. I've got some brochures in the back if you want to learn more about those. But marketing is something very close to my heart because I spent 15 years running a digital marketing agency called Stellar Platforms, where I helped experts and entrepreneurs set up smart marketing systems. And marketing just got eaten up by the field of AI. And so a lot of marketers jumped ship and started becoming AI operators. And how many marketers do we have in the audience today? A show of hands if you're a marketer. Round of applause for the marketers, everybody. I'm so glad that you came out. Thank you for coming. Here's an agenda of what we're going to talk about. First, drinks and networking. We did that. Well done, everybody. Next, we're going to hear from Nic Hendrie and Simon Rush about accelerating marketing strategy with Trimble. They're going to share some of the things they've been doing in global marketing campaigns with Trimble. And then I'm going to give a presentation on building an AI brand voice kit, how to clone your voice with AI, and then we'll talk about some upcoming events at around 7:30. And then we'll break for some more beer and wine. You're welcome to stay for another couple of drinks until 8 o'clock at the end of the event. And so now, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over. Please give a round of applause for Simon Rush and Nic Hendrie. Is this the right one? Yeah, hit the button. Oh, you don't want to do...
better if you do it that way. And we hit the button once, and then hopefully it comes up. And we hit the button twice, and that should do it.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, we got there. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Simon Rush. I'm the Digital Demand Conversion Manager for Trimble Field Systems. And this is
Nic Hendrie. I'm part of the marketing team at Trimble we call ourselves TNZ Creative Services. And I've been in the researching AI development space within the marketing team.
Yeah, so today we're going to give you two sides of the equation. The first side is for all the marketers in the room. We're going to show you how we accelerate marketing campaigns and marketing development programs at Trimble using AI. But then we're also going to go behind the scenes. We're going to show you a lot of the challenges that we face throughout the process, some of the lessons learned. So there should be something in here for everybody as well. Even if you're not in the area of marketing or coding, there's going to be some first principles as well that you can apply to other workflows, whether you're in operations or law or logistics or some other areas as well. So the way that we approach this problem, we didn't really have a good idea as to what we could achieve right at the beginning of the process. But as we started to develop it, we started to ask ourselves questions, well, like, what if we let AI write the marketing strategy? And then what if we turned on brutal mode? So brutal mode, you'll see a couple of times, is where we kind of apply the Simon Cowell of marketing CMOs, and we just tear strips off our marketers and pull apart their programs. So we really dissect a lot of our marketing programs as a way to reduce risk. But it's also a way of making sure that we really know what we're doing before we start spending media dollars in the marketplace. So if you don't know who Trimble is, we have an office here in Christchurch with about 500 staff. Globally, we're around 13,000 staff. And what we do is we provide both the hardware, the software, and some of the cloud systems to interact between the physical and the digital worlds. And some of the areas that we do this in is in construction, either horizontal or vertical construction. In geospatial areas, which is why I'm dressed like a land surveyor, we have dominant market share within the survey industry. And in transportation. So this is a lot of the on-highway transportation and logistics services. So I sometimes describe us as one of the biggest companies you've never heard of before until you start looking for us, and then we're everywhere. So we're probably guiding your car to make sure it stays in lane. We help to build your house, your roads, all of these systems as well. So at a glance, Trimble is about a $4 billion company, about 13,000 employees worldwide now. We spend a lot of time in R&D, so we have over 1,000 patents, and we continue to develop and invest in R&D. Today we're going to be speaking a lot about market mind. And so the question that we asked ourselves is, all right, how do we overcome some of these challenges where our campaign briefs often lack the necessary information to perform? Our time to market is slow, so the time between being given a particular product and getting it into market. Sometimes it has limited market or audience intelligence, and our strategies start getting repetitive. We're not kind of pushing the boundaries of those. And so we developed this tool here, which we call Market Mind. And what it does is it takes campaign briefs and it turns it into strategy and deliverables. So for our marketers, they don't need to know AI. All they need to be able to do is to just drag and drop their campaign brief onto this software. They can populate some of the fields as well and tell it, this is my budget, this is my geography, and this is the audience that I want to pitch it to. And it will go through the entire process of developing a campaign, a process that would typically take us 90 days, we've now reduced to 8 minutes. So this is the workflow that it's doing, and what it's doing is it's daisy chaining through this process, so each step depends on the previous step. So to begin with, the marketer will take the campaign brief and drag it into the briefing engine. We'll upload raw SEO data, so it's looking at all the traffic for that particular product or term to tell it, is this a well-regarded product, is it well understood? It creates an executive summary and it starts doing a deep research report. So it's tearing apart the audience, understanding all their pain points, their demographics and psychographics, and it's mapping the entire buyer's journey. Then it will create detailed personas for every member of the purchasing jury, understand their value propositions, all the messaging pillars, and start to create a content plan to feed that particular audience. Then it will create a campaign timeline, all the executable tactics and tasks required to execute this particular campaign. It will develop an SEO plan, all the email sequences. Then it will start writing the emails and all of the landing page content as well. So it's actually pushing out the first iteration of all of that content. It's also helping the sales team by producing all the objections that people might have to this particular product, so that marketing and sales are aligned in terms of the messages that we're putting out into market, and it's all grounded in that solid first research as well. And it's worth noting that we put a human in the loop as a QA system throughout each one of these steps as well. So there's always feedback loops as well. Do you want to talk about change prompting?
Yeah, so I suppose initially when we built this, or when I built this, was we were actually getting feedback from what we were using that we were actually overloading the system. So we started going, well, how can we break this down into like a water flow effect or a chain prompt, so that it initially does the deep research, which I'm sure all of you have done a deep research on Gemini. If you've got Gemini, you would have done a deep research. So initially it will start with a prompt of doing a deep research, and then from that deep research prompt, it then pulls apart that deep research into certain specific templates, and then goes off and does another prompt, and then creates, for example, the content plan, and then flows on to the next thing. I think currently it's about 10 chains long, and we are forever making it go longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the first iteration of it. So
yeah, so every time we get a new model, we try and adopt it earlier, because every time we upgrade to a new model, we will generally halve the compute time, and we will dramatically reduce the cost as well. But we're currently, in order to generate a campaign, it's costing us around 30 US cents every time we spin it. So we're actively encouraging our marketers, do it again and again and again. It's crazy cheap to run these models. So it's much cheaper for you to experiment with these things. In terms of token consumption, I don't know what numbers we're up to at the moment. But
yeah, so it's a 25 to 30 cent pretty much output or cost. And then I think it's about a $250,000 to $500,000 token, well, not dollar, 500,000 token output. And you know, 6 months ago when we started this, we were using Gemini 2.5, and you know, that might have been probably a little bit more expensive and a lot slower. But I think that's the thing. Every week there's a new model coming out, Gemini's bringing out a new one, and we keep just updating, and it's getting better and better every time. So it's pretty incredible.
yeah, so it has a voracious appetite for compute power. We'll take as much compute as we possibly can, because it means that we can do better and better research in the initial phases. We can have wider and wider creative assets as well. So at the moment, it's meaning that our time to market is approximately 3x, meaning that we still have a lot of internal review cycles, and that's where the bottlenecks tend to be, that we're asking subject matter experts, specialists, distinguished engineers to review the content, and that just takes them time to work through it. It generally doesn't hallucinate. The feedback that we're getting is that it's well grounded in the research. We're able to spin out 10 times the creative variance, But again, that's not limited by the tools that we're building. It's more around the marketer's ability to understand A/B testing at scale. So they're saying, you gave me 25 different creative variants for this particular campaign. I can't cope with that many. I'll run 10 of them at once and see how that performs. But the productivity outputs are at least 10x, and a lot of it is marketers are just coming to understand what these workflows and processes.
Yeah, so I suppose you're probably wondering how we created this, and I've already said talking about Gemini. So at Trimble, we have an enterprise agreement with Google, so we technically have to use Google, and we are in that bubble of Google. So how I built this about 8-9 months ago was I started off actually on AI Studio. Has anyone used AI Studio? Yeah, it's tough. So AI Studio was where I started, just prompt engineering, playing around like, I'm gonna build this app. And then slowly realized that this was way too big for that. And then contacted our Google partnership manager and said, hey, where can I go to get this? He was like, you need a Google Cloud project. So I had to get permission up the channel. Can I get a Google Cloud project? Got one for our team, and then connected the project, the GCP. Does anyone have a GCP or Google Cloud project? I suggest getting one. They're all free. So that's why Google's worth 4 trillion, because GCP, get it. Got that, connected it into and started using Vertex-AI, which was the cloud version of AI Studio, and it's unguarded and way better. But then I ran into the problem of pretty much overloading that, because that had a 10 megabyte repo storage, which I kept saying to the support team, this is ridiculous. Why do you only have 10 megabytes? So they said, oh, you should use anti-gravity. So we've got this new IDE called anti-gravity. So I was like, sweet, let's use anti-gravity. So went into, started using anti-gravity, which is similar to Cursor. Has anyone used Cursor? Codex? Yep, it's very similar to that. So it's just Google's version of that, and it plugs into your GCP. So that was an instant game changer. I had to wait a month to get access to get that too, because it was so new, it wasn't on our enterprise agreement. So I had to get a special license for that. But once I got that, it pretty much in the first day I got it, I did our whole feature list and update to what someone had given me this long spreadsheet. I actually just chucked the whole spreadsheet into it and said, hey, make these changes. And then within a day, it had made all those, and we were back up to speed. But that's where we've technically got it at the moment, working with Gemini Model 3.6 Flash on our GCP, which is currently sitting on one of our divisions. I don't know if you talk to this one.
Yeah. So the first thing that it does is it takes the brief where it's, we thought in order to present something to you that wasn't commercially sensitive, we pretended we were the Briscoes lady. And so we just built a campaign for Briscoes. Fundamentally, the platform is agnostic to products. So you've done it, selling wedding dresses and all sorts of.
So I tweaked it today because I've actually had to put in a lot of security for, like, you couldn't put in Leica or any of our competitors or any other names, and it actually has a security parameter on it that says if you don't put a Trimble website or you don't put a Trimble product, we've got a knowledge base in the back end that says if you've put this product that's a Leica product, poof, cancel, done. So it won't let you go. If it ever got out, no one from our competitors could use it. So obviously, if any of you and our competitors in this room, that's why we've used Briscoes, which I just developed today as a quick fake to showcase it.
If anybody wants to sell Manchester or home appliances and stuff.
If anyone works at Briscoes, this could be a good sell.
Right. So the first thing that it does this is the brief on the left-hand side. So all we're doing is we're saying, hey, we've got $100,000 to spend in New Zealand. It's the Briscoes winter sale. Campaign starts on this date, finishes on this date, and here are our competitors.
And just a quick note on that, it took me 2 minutes to just type in this in the field. It's probably 50 characters, or call it 100 characters to type in all that information. And the report took 8 minutes. I went and had a coffee, came back, and in 8 minutes it generated a 60-page strategic marketing report for Briscoe's winter sale. So
on on the top left here, what it's doing first of all is it's creating a campaign health score. So it's looking at the opportunity in the marketplace for your particular product and seeing whether or not you have a business that's going to make some money. Oh, sorry, we'll just go back one. And then it's checking your competitive position. So it's checking you against all of your competitors to see whether you have competitive advantage and whether your messages are clear or not. It's identifying the key risks here and how your campaign might fail. And then it's starting to identify the strategic priorities and then measuring you against your benchmarks for spend to run a campaign like this in that industry. All right, next slide. Okay, so now it's starting to get into the strategic marketing plan. The first thing it does is it creates a target buyer persona, but it's not just identifying one person within the household. In this case, it's looking at multiple people who are going to be in the buying decision. We work in B2B, and generally we'll have 12 people who are in the buying process. So we'll have the procurement team, we'll have the owner, we'll have a couple of operations people, and each of them have particular messages that they need to receive in order to help them convert. And it's all grounded in data. So we're looking at demographic data and hiring data. So we know the average age of a land surveyor in Uzbekistan, and we're targeting at that particular role within those businesses. And then over on the right, it's breaking down the entire funnel, top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, and creating all the assets that they need. And then it's starting to execute and actually write those articles aligned to those personas as well. So I meet with Meta, LinkedIn, and Google on a weekly basis, and they keep giving us ideas around best practices. And a big thing that they've told us is to look at branded hooks. So this is about capturing your audience's attention in that first 3 seconds, and it's starting to get into the non-product feature motivators as to why people buy. So there are all sorts of psychographic processes where people are either doing it for social status, or they're buying because they want to reduce risk. Maybe they don't want to get fired. Maybe they want to save money, or maybe they're motivated by efficiency and productivity. Those 3 columns have broken it down in terms of audience segments, either first home buyers, upsizing families, or premium property owners, and they all have different motivators as well. So you can see that there are actually 25 lines to this particular spreadsheet here. Your average marketer would struggle to come up with that many audience segments. What we're able to do is to iterate at scale and run them all and let the algorithms optimize for what resonates with those people. Yep. Okay, so now it's going into digital channel strategy. So it's breaking down all the various ways that we're going to go to market. It's looking at social media, search and performance products. So because we've uploaded SEMrush data, it understands what all the search traffic looks like for this particular product category. And so it's using behavioral data to inform which keywords we should be buying, how much we should pay for each one, and going from there.
We also, just to add on that, we've also I created a RAG, which is pretty much a knowledge base of, I think we've got about 350 products from software, hardware platforms within Trimble. So it's taken me about 3 months. I still haven't finished it because I think there's more, but there's about 350 product RAG that's also built into this, that then has the knowledge base of pretty much what centimeter screen that product has got. So that's built into the back end, so it knows exactly what that product can do for each space.
Yep. So this is an example of what asset visualization is creating. So it's creating landing pages, but then it's giving the marketers options for, here's 5 different headlines, 5 different calls to action, and it lets the marketer go through and choose all of those. So they have a lot of control over those processes. And then it's going to spit out all of the social media assets, all their LinkedIn posts, their Meta, all of their Google ads. It will produce all of those aligned to the 25 different messaging pillars and the 3 different audience segments. So you can see the permutations get real big real quick.
And just a note, we wouldn't export that and put it onto our socials. These were just for visual representation, because a lot of our marketers were just getting like a Word doc with just copy. And they were like, how do I visualize this on a landing page or that. So we build it in situ so that they can actually see how it would look in a visual way.
Yeah. Thanks. So this is where it's starting to get into brutal mode. So then when the marketer thinks, oh great, I've got a really solid campaign, then it stabs them in the back and says, this is where you're failing. And it's really healthy for us to go through that review cycle because it finds all the weaknesses in what we think we know. So in this case, okay, admittedly, we just did it quite quickly, but it's saying, why are you promoting duvets in the middle of summer? That's crazy. No one's going to buy them then. So it's looking deep into buying cycles and understanding those things and pulling out all the reasons why it's going to fail. And then it's providing recommendations at the end of this document to say, this is what you should do, and this is where you should shift your money, and this is how you should prioritize it as well.
Yeah, this was like a perfect, I found this quite rewarding today when I did this. It took me, as I said, 3 minutes to run the report. I didn't think really much of it, and I put the dates. So it actually just picked that up from the dates I put in. If you had to go back to the screen, I put from the 1st of September to the end of September as the campaign. And it's picked up going, well, why are you talking about, middle of winter? It's not middle of winter. So that was like a tick box to go, it actually knows that your summer firstly is starting, so why are we trying to do a midwinter sale in September? So I was like, this is not hallucinating, just gone, yeah, great campaign, you've done really well, which is what every marketer wants to hear, but this is actually here's the best practices. So the beauty of it is, as you can see here.
Yeah, so it's, again, because we have human in the loop, then the marketer looks at each one of these things and they have these refinement options. So they don't have to go through the entire campaign and say, right, start over again. They can find the individual elements and say, right, just tweak that particular section for me and keep going. So they can move quite quickly. And then if they want to, they can read the full report, which is about 65 pages or so as well.
And one of the feedbacks was from Simon and the team was, well, when I do the refinement and I chuck it in and it refines it and it says it's done, the initial one was, it just did it. And you couldn't actually see, other than staring at and comparing 65 pages of what's different. So I said, hey, let's actually highlight our areas of what we've changed within the report. So now it's even saving them time on reviewing. So they can just scroll, see, blue highlight, okay, that's been tweaked. Okay, I like that, let's go. So yeah.
Yeah, so we're building audit cycles through these processes as well. Right.
Yeah, so I suppose I've spoken a little bit to the Google anti-gravity and transitioning from prototypes into from Google Studio into anti-gravity. I think that was my biggest learning curve and game changer moment because I went from just vibe coding to actually full dev stack, local computer and deploying straight to GitHub and Cloud Run. So obviously, me not being a software engineer by trade, just a general marketer, this last 8 months I've learned a lot within this space of developing this tool. And I suppose some of these learnings within the dev strategy is the MVP mindset. So, having this minimal viable product kind of attitude where you build something, we review it, and we go bite by bite. And once that's completed and it's ticked the box as a feature, we move to the next feature and we slowly iterate like that. Where I think that's changed from in the past, you went away and the dev guy did it for 2 months and he came back and it was, here it is. And you have 25 changes in that month and then you have to start all over again kind of vibe. So I think the small bites, and we've just been working together for 6 months, just developing it.
Yeah, so sometimes the dev cycle is 4 hours long. That within 4 hours you have the features delivered that you requested in the morning. And so it doesn't mean that it's 100% nailed every time, but our iterations are incredibly quick.
I think that's that outcome focus. Like when we started this project, it was actually let's just create a brief builder that will optimize our marketers and make their briefs better, to now where we're at, where it's developing full strategy campaigns for global markets. We have hit a few barriers and we've had to pivot multiple times. We still are pivoting with some changes right now. But I suppose one of the other dev strategies within this AI space that I've learned is replacing this long prompt engineering. You hear these, you watch TikTok and Facebook and you get these, try this prompt and it will save your life on this. Like, I think what I've found personally is that replacing these long prompts with actual contextual inputs. So Simon and I will sit down, record a meeting and discuss the product for 30 minutes in a Google Meets, and we will draw up on a slide deck, copy paste, drawing stuff. We take that information and chuck it straight into the IDE and say, hey, we've just had a meeting on this, analyze this whole meeting, pull the transcript, pull this, and then come up with an implementation plan on what's our next feature add. So it's pretty much, that's giving it context, it's giving the full, future proof of what it is, considering, hey, optimize this prompt for me, and it takes out all that human environment in it. So I think that's been a big change that I've found that I'm doing. And I suppose feature discipline, we could easily just snowball. I'm sure everyone here has tried building apps, or has anyone built an app yet? Or it's nice to just know who's building apps and doing stuff, but you can instantly go, I built that, and then you roll down this like never-ending snowball effect. So it's actually just like putting yourself back going, okay, why did I start this? What was the objective? So I've had to keep stopping myself, like, we can add this, we can add this, we can do this. And it's like, no, just concentrate on like finishing this project. So
yeah. Policy compliance has been a big effort for us. So Trimble is a publicly listed company, and there are all sorts of controls that we're accountable for. So within our AI policy, we are required to be responsible for ensuring safe operation and integrating safety measures at all stages of the development process. So some of the things that are listed in there, it can't hallucinate, it can't discriminate. So we've been having some fun trying to force it to be racist against New Zealanders. And so we've been trying to make it discriminate against ourselves, and we've built in a couple of safeguards so that it can't possibly hallucinate and it can't discriminate. So we've built in some DEI policies. We are also required to align to Trump's America First AI policies. So we have to put America first when we're creating a lot of these campaigns. We also have to comply with consumer protections for artificial intelligence in the state of Colorado, because that's where our head office is based. So we spend maybe 10 times as much time on compliance as we do on development. And we're going through lots and lots of iterating and testing, trying to find the limitations of it, trying to break it, trying to overload it. We will do things like tell it, this particular product has interstellar communications, to see if it will recognize and go, we know that that's not possible, so we're going to stop you from running this particular campaign. So we put in lots and lots of safeguards.
And I suppose my instant fear when I got into this space was like, I'm not a software engineer, I'm not cybersecurity, I'm going to get fired if I open up some big hacking portal for China to come and, destroy Trimble's RP. So my instant fear was like, how do I understand all of this? Because I don't. So I reached out to multiple divisions within our company, the leadership in legal, our distinguished engineers, so people that have already built applications and have got them live on these apps. And a lot of them said to me, just follow the AI policy document. And I was like, okay, so that I don't need to go to a team to get it tested, to get it penetrated tested, or whatever it is. They said, no, just follow the AI policy. So I then thought, well, I'm not going to understand that policy. I created a security agent on the back of MarketMind, and then have utilized it for other apps that I'm building. But it does a 77-point check on our AI policy and governance policy that pretty much is like a knowledge base for all the rules. And I run that against our application and say, hey, does this tick all the boxes? It then runs it, and then I get a report at the end of it saying, yep, you got a D. Or, hey, you failed, these are the critical errors. You have not got token limits, you have an open URL there. And so it gives a full list of what's wrong. But then the beauty of what I've created is that I then take that document, plug it straight back into the app, and then say, hey, you've just been audited, you don't meet security standard, please follow these remediations and correct yourself. And it corrects itself. And I've just had to keep doing that over a few times. And we've now obviously got legal compliance. So the security agent now is getting used by our cybersecurity team for auditing too. So that was pretty cool. I suppose there has been a few frustrations and in tooling and data quality. I touched on a bit of it with anti-gravity. I feel right now Gemini's model is not fit for purpose for coding. I feel like it's like fast and dirty. Like it's super fast, it's amazing in that space, but then breaks 3 things along the way. So I've been really struggling at the moment with the amount of input we're putting into this tool and what the capabilities of what we wanted to do. So, but I don't think Gemini's model is the right one. So hopefully we're getting some Claude licenses and we can maybe work into Claude, because I do think Claude is the best coding model. And I suppose choosing tools based on task efficiency rather than brand loyalty. So I suppose we have to use Gemini, and that's been my biggest struggle, is I can't use Claude or I can't use GPT. So right now I'm pretty throttled by Gemini in that sense. And I suppose also we've been developing a lot of RAGs and knowledge bases for products and competitors and stuff. And what's opened up a can of worms, and I'm sure every person in this room that works for a company as large as Trimble or even a small company will know that once AI starts looking at your data behind the scenes, it's going to pick up all your messy folders and all your messy bits. And what AI is now doing, what we found is we got these APIs into the back end of our websites and that, and it's coming back going, you've got 4,000 tags and they are all different. Why have you got 4,000 tags for articles? So there's been a lot of eye-openers to like, hey guys, do you realize this is what our data is looking like now? So that's been a bit of a challenge to now we have to filter it and be able to, before we even thinking we've got perfect data, we actually have to bring it in, clean it up, and then use it. So it's been a bit of a challenge. Yeah, I suppose I know we've got 5 minutes and I really want some questions at the end, but I suppose touching on some of this, I will pretty much say that staying up to date with your models is probably the key. I found that updating our model, especially with MarketMine, we went from a 15-minute report with 2.5 Pro to using 3.6 Flash is now 5 to 8 minutes, and there wasn't even a cost difference. So I definitely think that's a key learning, is just keeping up to speed with what's coming out. And I think that's also quite tiring, to be fair. But also, one of those quotes that I heard from a Google developer recently, which I think resonated massively with me, especially not being a coder, is stop managing code and start managing outcomes. So I think that's key in this space now with AI, especially people that are not trained coders. I think instead of looking so hard at code and having to be scared about that, looking at the outcomes is far more important. And I'm a big believer also in learn by doing. So I think that plays in hand with what we developed, and that whole MVP is just go out and do it and learn on the way, and reiterate while it's going. So that's some of what I've found. And I suppose, yeah, we can leave it at that, and I can touch base on some of the questions if anyone wants to ask me any of those questions. Or one of the interesting stories I could say to finish is we built this tool and then we sent it off to our MOPS, or our marketing operations team, and there was a coder in there, and he came back and he was like, this is an amazing tool, like, oh my god guys, you've done so well, what language is it? And I instantly was like, what language? Like, is he looking at the same tool? Like, I've wrote this in English, like this is all English. So I replied back to him saying, is yours not in English? And he replied back saying, no, like what coding language? And I was like, oh, idiot, like, come on, man, get into the AI space. So I went back and I went to anti-gravity. I was like, what language are you in? He came, we're a bit of everything, JSON, PHP. I was like, cool, copy paste. That's what we use. Brilliant. Oh, this is that. I was like, oh, how am I supposed to know? I've just built the tool. I don't need to know what language it's in. But yeah, that was.
So, how was the feedback from the rest of the marketing team during the sort of pushback on that, and then results? Is it converted?
Yeah, so there's a bit of a digital divide in terms of the marketers that are interested and willing run with it, and they go so much faster. We're actually pushing because they're saying it takes me too long to develop these things, and if you give me a campaign that's developed by an American and I try and run it in Australia, it's not going to resonate. So they're saying this is meeting my particular needs, and I'm able to go so much faster, which means that I can experiment a lot more, and they're getting a much better quality result much faster as well, and I've got a lot more confidence as well.
But also, I think what we developed in the beginning was we said we need to make this AI for dummies. Like, we're not going to say here's a prompt template and a prompt library where you've got to copy paste and build these things and understand that. It literally, you just type in a few sentences and it should develop it for you, and all that stuff's in the background. So we've sold it on that, but still getting feedback. The classic feedback that we've had is, it does a great job, but it still takes too long. And we're like, oh,
It's like, it's 8 minutes.
No, we just saved you 90 days, but yeah, you can never win. I suppose it's just you can take a horse to water, but you can't really make it drink. So we're getting that kind of vibe at the moment, but change is hard. So hopefully.
Are you getting a distinctive voice, or is everything turning out beige?
So we've actually loaded it up and trained it on the Trimble tone and brand, and we have some controls where you can say make it 10% more technical, because our audience is very technical. They all have professional qualifications. But then we can also say, I want you to have some fun here, be creative. One of the good things that it's doing is it's highly, highly localized, meaning that it uses Australian slang that they use in the industry, not to the point of being offensive, but it's speaking the language that our technical audience speaks as well. So it's highly aligned, but again, part of the benefit of it is it's running it in conjunction with those platforms where Google is iterating tens of thousands of millions of messages, and so it will resonate, rise to the top, the ones that work as well. So we don't have to get 100% match rates on everything. Yeah.
How many of your clients or your projects are based in New Zealand?
What do you mean exactly?
Your clients, like where are they based? Like
They're globally. So the fact that we're in New Zealand is irrelevant. It's where our desk is located, but New Zealand's the size of Sydney, so we're in 179 countries.
Yeah, but your projects, are you mainly working in New Zealand? Your projects, no?
Their marketing campaigns? No.
Yeah.
They're mostly outside of New Zealand.
Yes, that was actually part of my question. So do you attempt to, or how do you modify your personas by national characteristics?
Yeah, so every campaign is run for that geography. So for example, another anecdote, we ran a campaign in Chile, and MarketMind said, oh, if you're running it in Chile, you're going to want all your assets in Chilean Spanish. We never programmed in that feature. It just started automatically translating everything into Chilean Spanish.
But rather than that, when you're going back to some of your more sort of advanced personas in terms of their thinking, their attitudes, what makes the buyer buy? There are differences,
Yes.
across nationalities.
Yeah. So, for example, what it's identifying in the deep research is it's looking at local legislation and local laws. So we did another campaign targeting data centers in Florida, and the campaign said, in northern Florida, there's a mandate for what they call BIM workflows and as-builts. Therefore, start there, and you're going to get a much better resonance than you are in southern Florida. So it's providing guidance based on local workflows, local legislation. It's looking deeply at that market.
Are you guys feeding back the results of the campaign back into it?
That's what we want to do. So this is so new that, like, I don't even think we've had that full loop yet. So yeah, we ideally want to get to a point where we've got a historical data rag. So we've run campaigns in and then tested them, and if they were terrible, then we go, hey, mark them on, these were terrible. And then we've got 20 campaigns and we just keep updating that rag. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so we've just started connecting APIs to SEMrush, to Otterly.ai, which monitors the back end. It looks at all the traffic running through ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot. It's looking at all of that prompt traffic. We've connected it, well, we're working through connecting it to Meta, to LinkedIn, and all of our Google Ads programs, so it gets those feedback loops.
Yeah. And all our APIs within Trimble that we built, like the product lists, which has all those personas. So we've got a persona rag, which is what every kind of customer.
If there's other questions, we can probably answer them afterwards, but I think we're out of time.
Round of applause, everybody. Awesome, that was so exciting to see such a deep dive on such a big campaign. Thank you for sharing such a grand scale. I've always been a small-time marketer. I work on little clients, and so seeing such a big global campaign, wow, that was a real treat. All right, so here's an agenda for what we're going to talk about during the second presentation today. I'm going to teach you how to collect writing samples to take a voice print. A voice print is a skill file that I'll share with you when I send out the slides tomorrow, and it helps you take everything that's essential from a voice and then replicate it using AI. But we don't want to make slop, and so I'm going to point you to an anti-slop skill that'll keep it from sounding like it was AI generated, and then I'll teach you about the SAGE framework, which you can use to create assets with this voice that you create. So whenever I make something, I use the 5-step creative process. I teach this a lot. Has anybody seen this? Show of hands if you've seen the 5-step creative process before. Great, great. So whenever you make something, you use some version of this process. First, you got to collect a lot of ideas. And then you sort through those ideas to figure out which one do I want to work on. And you pick one, and you put it on your workbench, and you craft it into something. And you always start by thinking, oh, this sucks. And then you work on it and you're like, oh, wow, this really sucks. And then you work on it some more and you think, maybe I suck. Maybe I'm the problem here. And then it starts to have this little smell to it where you see something in it you never saw before. And you get this vision of what it could be someday. And so you polish it to bring it closer to that vision. And then you publish it. And when you publish it, you don't touch it anymore because it's done. Humans are good at these two. Because we have creative taste, we can take 1,000 different ideas that AI generates for us, but it takes a human to know which one is worthy to work on. And you can have AI make 1,000 different revisions, but it takes a human to know when it's done. And so this is the 5-step creative process that you use to make things. And because we're now in partnership with AI, we don't do all 5 of these. You know, when I was starting out, I was an email copywriter. And that was my entry into marketing, is I wrote a whole bunch of emails, lots of emails. And if I wanted to get a good subject line, I had to write 50 versions of that subject line. And I'd get 2 good ones out of writing 50 iterations of the same subject line. But now I don't have to do that grunt work. I can hand that off to AI. Now that we're in partnership with AI, we've entered what Rob Lennon calls the age of discernment. He says it's the skill of discernment that leads you to success in the age of overabundance. The ability to spot unique and appealing details, to organize information, to make it easy, to know not just what to add, but what to subtract. Because if we all have access to the same AI that can generate thousands of pages on demand, what's valuable? It's knowing which pieces to keep. And a lot of times, we're looking for what's unique about you. We're looking for that special sauce, because anybody can make that beige, bland voice that AI has made for all of us, you know? But if you want to find something that's your unique voice, if you want to find your message, I'll tell you a clue. Your mess plus age. That's how you find your message. You look at what's messy about you, and you gotta let it sit for a while. It's like they say, don't share your scars, don't share your wounds, share your scars. While it's wounds, it's messy and it's gross and people don't want to see it. But if you can share a scar, something that happened a long time ago, you get a perspective from distance. But what you're focusing on, the core of your message, is your mess. What didn't work, because that's what resonates with all of us. We all have messes inside that we don't share. And when somebody shares a mess, it creates a resonance. Oh, I have that mess too. That's something AI can't do, because AI doesn't have lived experience. And so I'm going to give you some powerful tools today that you could use to make a lot of AI slop, and I'm going to encourage you not to do that. And the way we do this is we angle what we create to make something that's uniquely human. A lot of what I did when I was a marketing automation strategist is I would take an author's book and I slice and dice it into social media posts and newsletters, and that was my bread and butter for a lot of years. And this was actually the first successful image I ever made with ChatGPT. I made this with 3.5, and it took me an hour and a half. This was back when you couldn't really get the text right. You know?
Yeah.
I had so many versions where it would be gobbledygook on the cover, and I was like, just say your book. It was real simple. But it took a long time because the tools were immature. But over time, these tools have really changed. And it completely changed my business and my life. When I was running this digital marketing agency, Stellar Platforms, I had a real specific target market. I worked with authors, coaches, and speakers, because those are my communities. I'm a professional public speaker and a business coach and an author of a book that I'm going to give away to the first person who can tell me the title. Well done, Dominic. Round of applause. Sorry, Simon, right? Sorry. Well done. If you would also like a copy of this book, Marketing Yourself, I've got them for sale for $20, and so see me later if you want to get it. What I did in this book is I condensed the knowledge that I had accumulated over a decade of running a digital business from my laptop, where I helped authors and entrepreneurs create content that built a business. It's a really specific type of content that I got really good at. And I worked with a lot of different well-known Hall of Fame speakers, New York Times bestselling authors, internationally syndicated radio hosts. I was the back-end marketing guy in those communities. And they trusted me with their voice because as a human, I had the capability of analyzing the tone and the style and the cadence of an author so I could replicate their voice. And that's a really intimate trust to have someone else write in your voice. And I took that really seriously. And being able to publish in another person's voice required accuracy. And so I had to get good at identifying what's unique about this voice. And now I can do this a lot faster with AI. What I do now is I take a voice print. And what a voice print is it's a process where you teach AI about the qualities of a voice, about the tone and the style and the cadence. And I'm going to share with you this link right here. Well, first I'm going to share with you this tutorial. This is for members of the AI Campus, the premium membership in my AI Coaching Academy. And this tutorial that I published last week teaches you how to create your AI voice print. And it's a simple series of steps. The first thing you got to do is you got to choose your writing samples. We need some examples to teach AI how to do this. And then we download the voice print prompt. And I'm going to include this in the slides. What the voice print prompt is, this is tool agnostic, so you can use it with Claude, you can use it with ChatGPT, doesn't matter. If you want to make it into a skill or into project instructions, it takes an extra step that I'll demonstrate for you. But what this says is, this is written in Markdown, which is the language of AI agents. Instead of having a big, bold voice print instructions, it has one hashtag to say this is heading 1. It's the most important heading. This is heading 2. It's less important, but it's more important than heading 3. This is what Markdown is. And so the instructions are, we're gonna take a voice print, and then there's the human operator workflow, and this is the piece that you do, okay? You give this entire file to a large language model, and then you're gonna upload writing samples, either one at a time or all at once. If you upload them one at a time, all your agent is going to do is reply with continue in all caps. And so you can copy and paste multiple articles or blog posts or social media posts or newsletters or whatever you have available. You can upload a PDF of an entire book if you want, or you can use short passages that contain your voice. And then after you're done uploading, you write the word voice print in all caps. And what your large language model is going to do is everything else. We tell the large language model the goal. We tell it what to match, to focus on patterns, not exact wording. It doesn't want to replicate what you already said. It wants to replicate the style in which you say it. And so it tells the large language model, this is the process that we're going to do. If you do it all at once, then you can go directly to analysis. And then here's what the large language model needs to identify. The overall voice and tone, the sentence length, variation, and cadence. This is just a really fancy way to say the tone, the style, and the cadence. You're going to analyze all that and then create an output that has a series of signature traits in bullets and in bold. That's how you write these in Markdown. The bullets are dashes, the bolds are 2 asterisks. And then it identifies the rhythm and structure, the signature moves, the language, the reader relationship, the format notes. And so it creates a brand voice document that it can refer to. And it might have to ask calibration questions. If it's not sure, it's going to say, hey, which of these sounds the most like what you're looking for? And then you pick whether it's A or B. And so that's the voice print file. You're going to upload that to your large language model, and then you upload samples. And you're either going to do small samples where it says continue each time, or you're just going to do one big sample and then say voice print. And then you review the output and you test it. You request 3 versions. And say, hey, give me one version that's the closest match, give me one that's more restrained, and one that's more amplified. And one of those you might like more. It might have more of that special sauce that you know is your voice. And then once you have the refinement, then you can save it and either upload it to a project or create a skill or make a system prompt. And there's a lot of different things that we could do. But what I want to do first is I want to make a voice print of a famous New Zealand author with a real specific voice. So I need some nominations. I need 3 to 5 nominations of a New Zealand writer or commentator or speaker or public figure who has a real specific voice. Who's got a nomination?
Margaret Mahy.
Margaret Mahy. Who else?
Joe Bennett.
Joe Bennett. Who else?
Chris Ratui.
Who is that?
Chris Ratui, the Herald columnist.
Chris Ratui. Okay. Okay. Who else?
Sam Hunt, the poet.
The poet Sam Hunt. Great. One more.
Fred Dagg.
Fred Dagg.
Yes.
Fred Dagg. Well, I like the poet angle. I think we might be able to get a lot of mileage out of the poet. And so I'm going to get Sam Hunt, the poet. Sam Hunt, poet, NZ. And I'm going to look for some sources. Now, I could go and I could manually collect some sources. I could go and find his writing, but the best way, I think, to gather sources is with Gemini Notebook, formerly known as notebooklm.google.com. How many people here have used NotebookLM before? Show of hands. Amazing tool, fantastic tool. And they now call it Gemini Notebook. That's the new phrase, the new name for it. So let's go. I'm going to create a new notebook. And one of the things that Notebook is really good at is finding sources. You can add sources manually by uploading files. You can give links to websites or YouTube videos. You can add Google Drive files because this integrates seamlessly with Google Drive, or you can copy and paste text. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for Sam Hunt, poet, writing samples, NZ. And it's going to go and find all the samples for me. Okay? I'm going to use these samples to create my voice print. While it's pulling up those samples, I'm going to show you how I did this with Buzz. No, I can't believe nobody's used Buzz before. Buzz is so cool. So,
how long has it been out?
10 days.
Okay.
So this is right on the cutting edge, but I got this on day one when this came out. So what Buzz does is it allows you to talk to agents in a Slack type interface. So I have all these channels on the side. I haven't added a whole lot, but I always start my channel conversation by invoking the agent, by naming the agent, and then basically doing the top level, this is what I want to do. And then in the replies, that's where we get into the work. So there's 3 sides to using Buzz, and I think this is going to be the way that we manage agents in the future. Is you've got channels and DMs on the left, you've got the topics in the middle, and then you've got the work on the right. I think this layout is going to become the lingua franca of interacting with agents. And so I have an agent here with the voice print in it. I actually have a bunch of agents. I'm making agent teams. And one of the neat things that you can do with Buzz is you can organize these agents into teams. And so I have a positioning team of 4 different agents that can all work on one thing together. Like I can come into my positioning channel and I've got all 4 of these agents in here and I can talk to any of them. And I can say, hey, do an analysis of the AI Coaching Academy. And it does all this analysis. And I've got my positioning manager in here, and I can invoke other agents that are in here with the @ symbol. And so I can say, case study builder, make a case study of my best students in the academy. And it'll go and use any connectors it has to go and do that thing. And what I do as the agent manager is I go over to another thread and I spin that plate. And then I go to another thread and I spin that plate. I think this is the agent work of the future, is managing it like this. But you can also talk to individual agents with a DM. And so I've got a DM here for my voice print. What I did is I said, hey, here's a white paper that I recently wrote. Here's the Marketing Yourself book. I just gave it a link to read the entire PDF. Here's my website. Here's my newsletter. And each time, all it replied with was continue. And I just gave it plenty of content. And then when I said finished, he wrote out the entire voice print. So that now I have a voice summary, my signature traits, my rhythm and structure, my signature moves. And it goes through all of this that I can use to replicate my voice.
Do you record yourself?
Do I record myself talking? Voice cloning is different. We're going to get into that. This is just a writing voice that I'm doing right now. But let me take a look and see how my sources are doing. I'm going to view these sources. And I'll go ahead and just open these in new tabs. 1, 2, 3, 4. That should be enough. All right. Really specific voice. Great suggestion. So this will be a good test. Can we get something to speak like this? So I'm going to take my voice print. I'm going to open a new ChatGPT thread. And I'm just going to paste this entire voice print. So now it knows all of my instructions. If you want to put this into an agent's instructions, like I did with Buzz, all I did was I went into my agents, I created an agent called voice print, and in the agent instructions, I put all of that content. So now this agent is trained on the same thing, and anytime I say, hey, give me a voice print for Hemingway, the only thing it responded with was, okay, I'm ready. Provide writing samples one at a time. And I copy and paste it. I put in Old Man and the Sea. I put in another paragraph, other little excerpts. And then I said, okay, I want my voice print. And then said, now rewrite this into project instructions for a ChatGPT project. Keep it under 8,000 characters. And it wrote all these instructions. I took these instructions and I went into ChatGPT projects and I made the project instruction. So I posted it here. So now if I do, I'm going to open in a new tab. Oh, I'll do it in here. A new chat for Hemingway writing. Write a paragraph about sunset at Epic Innovation in Christchurch. And it's been trained on Hemingway's voice. And now it's going to write something in Hemingway's voice. So now let's try our poet friend, Sam Hunt. Okay, so we're all ready to make a voice print. I'm just going to do some copy and paste real quick. Okay, so I'm here at the end. I'm going to take this one. And I'm going to copy this poem. And I'm going to paste it. I'll go to a new tab. I'll copy this poem. Ooh, they don't want me to copy on this website. Copy protection. Oh, I have to order that one. Here's the introduction, the summary, the themes. Okay, come on, notebook, give me some more. I'm going to look at here and here and here and here. I'm going to try and get at least 3 samples. Here we go. Recent poem. My father's waistcoats never had pockets. I could see why. Waistcoats have tiny pockets. All right, so he wants me to continue. I'm going to paste it. This is his poem explained. Okay, it's a very small sample, but I'll go with it. See if I can find one more. Real specific style. All right, final sample. And now I'm going to say voice print. So now after it's done all of this analysis of Sam Hunt, it's going to think about it for a while. Now, if I was smarter, what I would have done is after all the medium, I would have bumped up my reasoning on this analysis from medium to extra high so that it had more time to think about the material, right? I can even edit this post. Well, I can't edit the thinking level when I change it. Oh well, I'll just keep it this way. But now I've got the voice summary. It's spare, reflective, intimate, and quietly unsentimental. It often begins with an ordinary image, a memory, or observation, then allows mortality, family, regret, humor, or longing to emerge without announcing the shift. You think I'm going to get beige, bland AI slop with this kind of instruction? No, all I did was I gave it a really good example. So now I'm not going to go and select all of this and use my cursor. I'm not going to do that. That's the way, that's last millennium. Copy, one button. This is what's great about ChatGPT Canvas. You can just copy with a click. But I don't want to copy just this. What I actually want to do is I want to rewrite this voice print into project instructions under 8,000 characters. Because if you try and paste anything into project instructions that's more than 8,000 characters, it'll tell you, hey, I have a limit. Anytime you hit one of those limits, it just gives you the grist of what do I do to improve here. So now I got my project instructions. ChatGPT projects are great because whenever I create something in this folder, it's always going to be in Sam Hunt's voice. And so once it's finished generating all of this, I'm going to do a new project in the sidebar and call it Sam Hunt. Okay? This is taking a while, dude. This looks like more than 8,000 characters. Lots of revision rules, generation rule. This is definitely more than 8,000 characters. Make it less than 8,000 characters. But instead of doing it here and getting another, if I edit here, it'll actually edit this same text.
Edit where?
So in the canvas, you can actually use the edit feedback here. If I just do a new prompt, it'll do a new response down here. But if I edit in this box up here, it will actually rewrite what's in here. Now I copied it before it rewrote it. So I'm gonna do a new project and I'm gonna call it Sam Hunt Poet. Create the project. And then I'm gonna go on these 3 dots, I'm gonna go to project settings. And I'll paste it. It is less than 8,000 characters, great, okay. So now I'm gonna save it. And I'm gonna say, write me a poem about sunrise in Hagley Park. I'm just gonna use medium effort. I'm not gonna have it spend a whole lot of time thinking about it. But just in that, what did it take me, 4 minutes to create that voice print? The frost is first. White on the grass, white on the bench where somebody left a coffee cup overnight. Then the trees begin to show themselves, bare arms over Hagley Park. A magpie trying out one note, then another. Across the field, a runner goes past as if late for something. The sun comes up behind the hospital, quietly enough. No brass band, no announcement, just light on the aloe. A duck shaking itself awake, and one old oak holding the morning in all its branches before letting it through. Isn't that amazing? Well done, GPT. Yeah. So that's what a voice print can do. Taking a voice print articulates your identity. The tone and style and cadence of your voice has specific characteristics, and if you can measure them accurately, you can reproduce them faithfully. Voltaire said, writing is the painting of the voice. It's how we express texture and emotion. The tone, the style, and the cadence, when you look at the overlaps of these, you find the melody and the rhythm and the vocabulary, and each voice has a different combination of these. And you can spend time trying to manually figure out what all of these are, or you can just have AI do it. Pattern recognition is one of the best things that AI can do, so let's let it recognize patterns. Peter Elbow said, writing with voice is writing into which someone has breathed. It has that fluency, rhythm, and liveliness that exists naturally in the speech of most people when they are enjoying a conversation. That's one of the ways you can tell if something is AI generated. Will somebody chat with you about this over coffee, or are they telling you a bland average of everything they've ever heard? So when you make a voice print, it's like casting a mold. When I went to the Del Arte International School of Physical Theater, it was a clown school in Northern California. I ran away and joined the circus, and I went to clown school, true story. And we studied this 15th century Italian form of street theater known as Commedia dell'arte. And we did half-mask performance. And we learned how to make our own masks. And so at the beginning of second semester, everybody put plaster of Paris over their face and let it harden. And then we poured concrete in it to make a positive mold. And now that I have that mold, I can make a mask on it, and it will always fit my face because it was made on a mold. But the casting of that mold, sitting there for an hour and a half with plaster of Paris on my face, it was a grueling, uncomfortable process. But it allowed me to create this mold. And that's what a voice print is. It's a process that allows you to replicate from what you create. 11 Labs does a lot of voice cloning. They do audio and video voice cloning. And with just 1 to 2 minutes of uploaded speech, you can create a voice clone that's believed authentic 80% of the time. If you're going to do professional voice cloning where you have an AI artist, they need anywhere from 15 to 180 times more sources than just a minute. But even with that many sources, it only takes 3 to 6 hours to train a voice model, to replicate a voice or a video. So here's an example of some work done by Agentic Intelligence right around the corner.
Hey team, hope you're all doing well. I wanted to take a few minutes to share some important updates with you. Una, gusto ko lang magsabi ng malaking pasasalamat sa lahat ng mahusay na gawaing ginagawa mo. Ako ay talagang humanga sa kung paano namin natakil ang aming huling proyekto. Napakagandang makita at pinahahalagahan ko ang pagsisikap na ginagawa ninyong lahat. Thanks for listening and see you soon.
So this is Lauren over at Finesse Painting, and they work out of a loft. And Finesse Painting has contractors all over New Zealand, and most of them don't have English as their first language. English is the only language that Lauren speaks. But Agentic Intelligence recorded Lauren speaking for 3 minutes in front of this brick wall, and then uploaded it to 11 Labs. This was the mold. And now Lauren comes in the morning and she writes a script for the day's video. Hey, we've had a lot of people falling off ladders lately. Be sure and lock down your ladders. We're trying out a new primer, so be sure and sand really well and let us know how this primer works. And good job, Johnny, on the Gisborne job. She types all this up, and it creates a short 1-minute video that is sent to every contractor's phone in their native language. That's what creating a mold can do, is it allows you to repurpose the content in a lot of different ways. So if you don't have your own writing voice, but you still want AI to sound clear, the best advice I can give you is to use simplified technical English. This is a set of 900 words and 53 grammar rules that was originally developed for aviation engineers, because they wanted the repair manuals to be easily read by somebody in Poland or in Brazil or in Japan, so that every verb has one purpose. You know, in English, our words can mean a lot of different things. In simplified technical English, it gets real simple. And so you can use a prompt like this. Where do I have this prompt? Review this and follow the ASD STE 100. This is the Simplified Technical English convention. And so I gave it a link to one of my recent newsletters about the new GPT voice. Has anybody tried the new GPT voice yet? It's totally different. If you tried voice with a ChatGPT and you weren't satisfied, try the new one. I'm not going to demo it today, but it's pretty amazing. And so if it's going to rewrite mine, it did a direct quote and it didn't change it, that's great. If you tried the ChatGPT voice before and did not like it, try it again. The previous voice experience had problems. ChatGPT could interrupt you when you paused. It could think you had finished speaking when you had not. It could also respond before you were ready. But if I compare this to my actual newsletter, we'll see how the voice is different. If you tried ChatGPT before and you were unimpressed, try again. The previous voice experience was interesting but awkward. It interrupted pauses. It misread the end of a sentence. It responded too quickly when you were still gathering your thoughts. That's my voice. But by telling it to use simplified technical English, it changed the voice to this. And so if you're getting things that are too verbose, if you don't like how wordy it is, try asking it to do simplified technical English. It's a really good, simple voice to use. But now that you have this capability of replicating lots of work in any voice that you want, how do we avoid slop? I think slop is best described by Michael from The Good Place. No spoilers. Michael is the architect of the afterlife in the Netflix series The Good Place, and Eleanor is recently deceased, and she's in the afterlife, and she's trying to figure out why there's so many frozen yogurt places.
What is it with you and frozen yogurt? Have you not heard of ice cream?
Oh, sure, but I've come to really like frozen yogurt. There's something so human about taking something great and ruining it a little so you can have more of it.
It is very human.
And that's AI slop, right? We take something great, this ability to create content, we ruin it a little so we have a large volume of it. AI slop is lazy art. Anti-slop requires effort. Why is AI slop aesthetically offensive? It's because it's an interruption without merit. Sharing AI slop is not courteous or kind to the receiver, but adding an anti-slop filter on your production process ensures human participation in good art. Kapween did a study of the largest AI slop channel, and they have 6 million subscribers on YouTube, and they have more than 2 billion views on their videos, and they make $4 million in annual ad revenue. So why is slop happening? It's because it's profitable. Common Crawl did a study of 55,000 new English articles published in 2026, and they ran them through 3 AI detectors. They found that nearly half of them were AI generated. Thankfully, only 14% of them were ranked in Google. Only 7% of them ranked for number 1. And the reason why is because, I'll tell you about the reason why first, but first I'm going to share with you Alex Cohen's open letters to his employees. He said, "We don't ship slop here. As a company, we need to get better at not shipping purely AI-generated content without a level of human taste and filtering." What that means is you should and are encouraged to use AI for all your work. Leverage AI should make us 10 times faster, but trim and filter the content down before sharing it. Discernment is the human skill. Something that's 10 pages can likely be 2. Add human judgment that AI just isn't good at, and at the bare minimum, don't make your stuff look like AI. And the easiest way to do that is with Peter Yang's No AI Slop skill. Peter Yang was one of the founders of Y Combinator, and he's identified all these slop-isms. It's not about X, it's Y. Here's the thing, or let me be clear, or I've got a really great example for you over here on Twitter, or X, the everything app. I'm so freaking sick of how Claude talks. It's not just annoying, it's infuriating. The honest evaluation, it's the precise mechanism driving my current headache. It's the load-bearing root cause of my daily stress. It's genuinely painful, and that matters. Does that sound familiar? It's a whole lot of AI slop in there. And so Peter Yang developed this No AI Slop skill. You can download it for free from GitHub. And what it does is it removes those slopisms from your writing. What he does when he produces content is his first 25% is using voice dictation. He just brain dumps everything he can think of. I want to do a piece and I want it to be like this and I want to have the, and here's some things to think about. And he just narrates. That's the first 25%. Then he hands it over to AI. And AI does all of the content generation. That's 50% of the work. It's that hard middle. But then when it comes back to Peter, that's when he line edits. The human goes through line by line and either approves, modifies, or deletes every single line. If you don't have that last step in, you're at risk of making AI slop. So if you don't want to make slop, use this process. 25% voice dictation, 50% AI generation, 25% AI review, or human review. And if you want to check, does this look AI generated? There's a whole bunch of slop detectors. And I'm going to give you these slides. I'll send them out tomorrow to everybody who's registered in the Meetup group. And you can go to any of these links and copy and paste some of your content. So let's try a Sam Hunt poem. Let's put a Sam Hunt poem that we generated into pangram.com. All right, I'm going to take this poem that I just generated. I'm going to copy it with a click. And then I'm going to paste it over here and check for AI. And it lets you do little amounts. Without signing in, I'm signed in. Yes. Sorry, I should have signed in before. Oh, come on. Okay, so let me try another one. I'm going to try originality.ai. I'm going to paste it. Come on. Paste. Here we go. At a minimum of 100 words, I'm just going to copy those last 10 and paste it in. Scan it for AI. AI use appears to be 15% or less. Kind of surprised. So let's take this AST 100 version. Let's try this. Come on, stop it, guy. Why are you still generating? Okay. The live demo gods usually are on my side, but they're not on my side today. Because I wanted to do some copy paste into the slop detector to illustrate why you usually get tripped up. It's because of Unicode watermarks. Has anybody heard of Unicode watermarks before? Yeah. These are zero width characters that AI content contains. So if you generate a big long blog post in ChatGPT and you copy it and you don't line edit and you paste it, it might have some of these zero width characters. And so I've got this chat thread where I have, the AI wrote this sentence. This is normal text. And if I copy this and I paste it somewhere, it looks just fine. But there's this other one. The AI wrote this sentence. If I paste this into a copy detector, it's going to identify all these zero width characters. There's some ways around it. You can paste it into a text editor and then copy it and then go paste it and it strips all those out. So there's a way that you can get around that. But come on, let's not do that. Let's make some human art instead. I'm letting you know about these rules because I've been in the position before where I was so disappointed when I found out I ran one of these, one of my newsletters. I think it was this one, open source versus closed source AI models. I went and I copied the first few paragraphs and I ran it through a slop detector and it said, yeah, this is 100% AI generated. But I write my newsletters by hand. So it's a point of pride for me that my newsletters are handwritten. And it turned out I had forgotten I had taken a pass through AI for some components of it, and it left those zero width characters in there. So this web page is not going to rank high on Google because it can identify those. So that's one of the reasons why AI slop isn't making it to the top of the rankings. Okay, so the SAGE framework this is what I use to create agentic workflows. And I've started using this in some of my content creation. It's been really fun. The SAGE framework is an acronym. It stands for scope, automate, generate, and evaluate. And I find this really helpful for going through all the moving pieces of a project. The scope is the first part because projects fail when they aim too wide. If you can get a narrow scope, you're more likely to get a good result. And scope itself is an acronym. I have a whole workshop on this. My AI 304 workshop is all about scoping. But after you scope the project, you got to automate. You got to get all the moving pieces together so that you can free yourself from the robotic work. And then you have to generate. You don't generate the published content, you generate content that creates again. So you generate the skill or the system instructions or the loop that creates the content in the future. And then you have to evaluate. You have to figure out what's working and what's a waste of time. And the big secret about large language models, they're better at evaluating a language model, paste it in another, and say, what's wrong with this? How can it be improved? Write me a creative brief. And then you take that response and you give it back to the first large language model. And you say, hey, here's some notes. Make it better. And then you take that second draft and you bring it to your other large language model and you play ping pong. It's a rinse and repeat cycle. until you get it to a point where it's good and it's ready for a human line of it. But it's your job to provide creative direction. And if we had more time today, I would tell you all about creative taste and about how the director has the most power on the set. I would tell you about when I was doing Shakespeare in the Park at 16. I'm the one with long hair right there. But we don't have time for all of that because I got to tell you about some upcoming events that we're doing. The Christchurch Artificial Intelligence Meetup, we meet on the second Monday of every month. If you are registered on meetup.com/Christchurch-AI, then you'll get email notifications about plays from all of our events. And so I highly recommend, if you're not a member of the Meetup group, just go on and sign up. It's free, and you can come to our upcoming events. Like next month, on the second Monday in September, the 14th, we're going to be talking about how to make AI work, from judgment to implementation. Pamela Simpson is a doctoral student at the University of Otago, and she's going to be presenting the results of her research. She's been interviewing hundreds of AI experts throughout New Zealand to find out how AI makes you think differently. And she's going to be presenting the first draft of her thesis here on the second Monday next month. And I'm going to be talking about how to implement AI in organization. I'm sorry I keep taking the stage so much, but I need more people to talk. And so if you go onto the Meetup group, right on the About page, there's a link here to fill out the form. If you want to be a speaker, stand at this podium, if you have something to share with the community, then please submit a talk. All I need is a title and a description, and I can put you on the calendar for later this year. So I'm looking for new speakers for the second Mondays for months coming up. I'm also hosting an AI coaching power hour this Wednesday from 6:30 to 7:30 on Zoom. This is for members of the AI Campus, the premium membership in my AI Coaching Academy. And what we do in an AI Coaching Power Hour is I teach you how to make an AI coach out of a book that's had an impact on your life. You upload the PDF of that book and then create a coach. And that's what we do in the first 15 minutes. And then everybody goes, and then we come back and debrief and talk about what that was like. So we practice using these tools of the future. Now that's for members of the paid membership, that's $19 a month in the AI Campus, but I have a free membership in the AI Coaching Academy. And Friday next, on the 21st, you know, SEO is how you get to the top of Google search results. How do you get to the top of ChatGPT results? That's what my next webinar is about. And that's going to be on Friday, the 21st of August from 1 to 2 p.m. Next month, on September 8th and 9th, is the Aotearoa AI Summit. Show of hands, anybody going to the Aotearoa AI Summit in Wellington? Or am I the only one going? Okay, I'll be on the plane by myself. But I'm going to go up and I'll tell you all about it on the Monday after that when I get back. And that's going to be happening in Wellington on the 8th and 9th of September. And then shortly after that is Tech Summit. The Canterbury Tech Summit is going to be here in Christchurch on the 16th of September on a Wednesday. Show of hands, who's going to Canterbury Tech Summit? I knew a lot of you would be there. Awesome. Great. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of you there. There was also an event here on Thursday and Friday of last week. We had the AI Hackathon. How many people here were at the AI Hackathon? Daisy was the winner of the AI Hackathon. Round of applause for Daisy for winning this year's AI Hackathon. Well done. And the winners are going to Wellington to compete. And all the different regions hosted hackathons, and then we're going to be, the nationwide winner is going to be announced there. So I'm also hosting an AI happy hour this Friday. It's a free event. If you want to attend, it's 4 to 6 at Little High, right around the corner. It's free to attend. We're going to be playing some AI games with my new AI playbook. I'm play testing this right now. So if you want to come and have some drinks and play some games with me, you're welcome to. If you want to buy one of these, they're $30, 30 games to teach you AI. And so you're welcome to take a look at this and see me if you want to buy one. But if you want to join the AI Coaching Power Hour, then you can join the AI Campus here. So you're welcome to stay and have another drink or two before we close the doors at 8 p.m. Thanks so much for spending this time with me today. Have a great night.
I feel like you probably make how's that? It's so interesting because you copyright